your light. Sits home deep like a heartbeat pulse. Electro dreams where we are lost. Neon waves take us back in.
Welcome, everybody, to Versace Stunner. We're here with a very special episode of VSW Podcast. So we got a very special guest on a very special day. The one and only Brother Greatness. Welcome to the show.
Hallelujah. Thank you for having me, my brother. I'm very happy to be officially on the VSW podcast.
Yeah, we talked earlier in the year. We were on another show, Vic TV. We talked about, an upcoming match you were having. We talked a little bit about your career, but I never actually had you on my show. And it honestly, it's an honor. I've seen what you've been doing and have done, and a big fan here at the VSW and myself personally. But let me ask you, when did you get for the people that don't know, you've been wrestling for quite a couple of years now, is it?
Yeah, it's been quite a while. I debuted in 2012. Had a major injury in 2014, so that took me out for about 3 or so years. And I've been pretty steady ever since. This last year has been a lot of managing and commentary, but also had a nice little remarkable Riot title run. So definitely wasn't being a slouch in the ring.
No. And what a scene change, from like 2012 to 2025. It must like two different worlds right now.
Big time. Every once in a while, I'll see somebody from back then that doesn't typically do like the New England thing or the Long Island scene or like Texas, like the places I'm used to being. I might go down to Jersey or Philly now and again, and I'll run into people that I knew from 2013 that have been around since 2005, and talking to them, they're just like, wow, the guys and girls in the back are totally different. Wrestling's changed. Everyone's not talking about WWE or international. We have AEW now. Impact's a big thing. MLW gives opportunities. NWA's way hotter now than it was then. It's a totally different scene on every level of wrestling.
And I think a lot of it's for the better, honestly. It's a nicer scene. I think it's more friendly, it's more inviting, it's more open for everybody to be a part of. Because whether that's the thing. If you don't like the WWE stuff, cool. You can follow the New Japan stuff. You don't like the strong style, you can follow the GCW stuff. You follow the hardcore. You can pick what you like and just take that in. You don't have to take it all.
Yep. Choose your flavor of ice cream at this point. And if you don't want any of it, I mean, heck, Wrestling Open's giving you weekly independent wrestling television on IWTV every Thursday. So it's like you really can't lose. You have so many choices.
No, you can't. And now you do the commentary on that, right?
Yeah, I perform as the color commentator. I did it from the end of 2023 straight through all of 2024. I have not been back at Wrestling Open since Wrestling Open's last stand, where I jumped off the cage and Lucas Chase turned on the entire Church of Greatness. So I'm still managing the physical and emotional turmoil that comes with that. But I do intend to return to the Wrestling Open sooner than later.
No, and it's great because platforms like that is what honestly gets people to even know that indie wrestling exists. I mean, granted, you came up, you said 2012, you took the injury, hard hit, 17, and as 18, 19, 20, it was all over again. And the thing about 20 is a lot of crazy stuff happened. It ended. People had to get creative. People had to find ways to do stuff. And a lot of things came back, like TV tapings.
Yeah.
And when the TV tapings came back, it slowed down the pace for people to be able to sit there and watch a weekly episodic indie wrestling show. Not a WWE show, but I can see, Love Doug on there, and I can see what's going to happen to Love Doug next week.
Yeah.
And for an indie fan, to me, that was just like the best thing. Because it, wasn't once a month. It was every week. There's only a couple of matches, so I could sit there, cover them, dissect them. At the podcast, I was able to do previews, recaps. I had all the time in the world. And it got me into, a lot of that kind of expected to have weekly wrestling. And, prior to that, you had the Uncharted Territory running, and that ran really strong for 3 good seasons.
It really did.
That's what got me into indie wrestling, honestly. Seeing stars that were like, Orange Cassidy at the time and Chris Statlander. They were on, doing their thing on the scene, and I was getting to see them, at like Please Come Back and other shows. And then I would see them on AEW or on a national stage. I was just like mind blown, like, wow, this is so close to me.
Yeah, it's all close. It works out. And COVID 2020, it really did cause people to have to kind of step out the comfort zone, right? Because you had Limitless running the road. You had some things up in upstate New York with various promotions, Mount Nowhere and the like. Places like Invictus, once things calmed down a little bit, ran a lot of outdoor shows. So you had a lot of outdoor shows in New Jersey, what have you. Texas was booming because a ton of people ran to Texas as soon as they opened up. And
Yeah.
so people got
Beyond even had Masterclass going. They were running the tournaments.
yeah.
Even other companies like Northeastern Championship Wrestling was running behind closed doors, getting people to work, getting students into work.
Yeah,
So it was a good opportunity to see. And then, like I said, like the pay-per-view kind of style shows started to come back, but there just was no fans, and you would get those shows. And we saw some great spotlight shows on on different platforms. Some of the Danny Garcia had a great run in New England during the pandemic.
Yep.
But then it all came back. My first show back was actually a Beyond show. And it was wild to be there. Seeing, I think it was the show where Yuta won the IWTV title.
Good show.
And I was really big into Beyond at that time while Wheeler Yuta had his run. Because like I said, I got into the indie scene around 2017, 18. But I found my way to Beyond around 18, 19. I was all hooked for this stuff. I went to that last show, BC Dub. Everything was going great. Pandemic had struck. So when I came back, I had all these shows that I wanted to go see. So like once they opened, I went. Yeah. But it introduced me to a whole world, especially that year in 21, because I would touch area. I'd go out to Jersey bunches of times. Ridgemont Field. I would go out that way, see wrestlers from the New York, Philly area working out there, coming in. A lot of the Jersey people like the Wrestlers Lab was running shows. I would go check them out. Camp Leapfrog was running. I checked them out. IWTV 100 ran. I checked that out.
Yeah, that was a good show.
So like I got to see all this talent that was from now everywhere. I was seeing people like Darius Carter that I had never seen before, and other wrestlers that just were like, wow, there's a whole world of wrestling out there.
Yeah.
And then that just opened my whole mind to be like, IWTV is my best friend because I can watch everything.
Yeah. It's inexpensive, and there's a disgusting amount of promotions to choose from beyond, no pun intended, but beyond even the States. The quality Canada promotions. You have some promotions from Latin America. There's a lot of really good choices for what you get to really sit down and consume at this point, right?
Yeah, I don't even think there's enough hours to consume it all. You have to like piecemeal it or break it up because there is a lot of content, and it's like a lot of good content because a lot of these promotions are high end now. They have the next superstars in their hands. They have tomorrow's WWE guys. This WWE ID thing has sparked a lot of fear because you got a lot of people that are ready for that level, and then we're going to see even more names be dropped, and it's going to be great for everybody because the people that share those locker rooms with these guys and girls. They're going to be hungry for that. And the guys and girls that have made it, it shows that if you work hard, you can get somewhere.
And I'm happy for the man. I've gotten to know so many of the guys and girls who have got picked up for WWID so far. And it's so emotional. I was on commentary when Aaron Rorick, the dime piece, found out that he was getting catching that WWE ID contract. And I literally just took the headset off and just cried. Just broke down crying. Paul Crockett just took over the commentary for that little segment.
And that was like real emotion too. Like you were genuinely happy for that dude. Like, that's why like I know like people say wrestling scripted and stuff, but like when you see good things happen like that, even if it's a title win, like when Cody won, real tears of joy, and people do cry for that reason.
Yeah, and there's a lot. Aaron went through and I don't even know the whole story. I'm not acting like me and Rourke are besties, like we're over here hanging out every Saturday and Sunday. But I've seen enough of the story to understand how much of a struggle it was to get where he is right now. And a lot of people didn't believe in Aaron, and I feel bad for those people. Because
not for nothing. If you want to go back in 21 when I first got back into the shows, he was on that that first card. Fans didn't like him. Fans were booing him. Fans hated him. Today, he's one of the most popular guys out there. Hate him or love him, they still cheer for him.
People love the dime piece, man, and I'm
really
proud of him.
And not another cap, Creative Pro, they put out a lot of great students out
Yeah,
there. They really do. Everybody from people like MJF to like, TJ Crawford's on, come out of there. And all these people are shining. And it's good to see, that end of it too. Because a lot of those guys and girls got into AEW too, which is nice.
and I tell people all the time, I arguably, if you're talking about, and the word best is very difficult to qualify, right? But arguably the best school in New York State for professional wrestling is Creative Pro. The only one that I think is really that could really challenge that is House of Glory. But I think
Yeah.
I think Cap is, in my opinion,
They
the
put
best
out they
wrestling
put out
school.
stars. It's like like around here we have New England Wrestling Pro Academy. They put out Ricky Smokes.
Yeah,
You
Nephilim.
know, we have all these other, even the dojos put out some great people. And more great schools are coming up, which is good to see because sometimes the schools I feel like before were kind of far and few, and people had to drive, and people would get, they'd go for a couple of months and then get, well, this is a long drive. I know what I'm doing, and they start to slow down that pace, and it's like you should be able to go. Like, I mean, I remember when I boxed, I would go to the gym every day because I lived, 20 minutes from there.
Yeah.
I would make sure I could get to the gym every day for at least 2 hours to do my, cardio and do my boxing, whatever, the gloves and the mitts.
Mm-hmm.
Just so I would stay ready for one of the days that I had heavy training, which would be like, these 8-hour, team training sessions where you would do drills all day long. And, with boxing, it was easy. It was like 5 gyms in near my house. I had a pick of a choice. But when, wrestling comes around, everything's like an hour out. I've heard people have to drive 2-3 hours.
There's some
I
people.
talked to foreign people I've talked to people in Europe that will cross borders, go through another country to go to their training, to go to a wrestling school down in the Nordics. It's like, when they want it, but, we take it for granted. But right now we have, in Mass anyways, we have a pretty good demo that it's like a school every 30 or 40 minutes.
No, it's great. It's really great. New England is such a hub of professional wrestling right now. I think we talked about it last time a bit because the quality schools, great promotions. I mean, you have Beyond, NEW, and Limitless all within the same like geographical area of New England, and that's just amazing, and that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like you just got that, and then you turn around, then you see these 3 names, then all of a sudden you got like Focus Pro, Blitzkrieg, and then you got things like Rad Pro coming up on their 3rd year. Chaotic
Strength. Don't forget about Test of Strength.
All these other promotions that are just like right up there. Like I said, anything on IWTV is really worth that watch because it's not easy to get onto. They don't just going to take any old show and throw it up there.
Yeah.
And also, I feel like a lot of the higher end IWTV stuff. That's where you will see these IWTV championships get kind of pushed around, title matches. At Heavy Lies the Crown, you saw Marcus Mathers capture that from Cruel.
Yeah.
They're not just going to let that match fly at any promotion. You have to be a good promotion to see these title matches.
Yep. It can't go any and everywhere, but the best of indie wrestling's there.
It is. And it's great to have it because I was talking to some, they were like, what was indie wrestling like when you grew up? It's like, when I grew up in indie wrestling, I was like, I don't know, these fire department used to come around and, you donate, they give you tickets. You go to this hall, there'd be like 30 guys unknown, and they'd be like the Honky Tonk Man. And you'd go there to wait all night for the Honky Tonk Man. You wouldn't know who was wrestling. You wouldn't even care. You would never see them again. But you would know the Honky Tonk Man, maybe the WCW ref. Maybe they would bring in an old little person, from back in the 80s, somebody. But it was nobody like notable in the area. If there was, I didn't know them because I was a little kid, and they weren't as colorful and as lustrous and as glorious as what WWE had to offer at the time, like Hulk Hogan, Macho Man, Ultimate Warrior. You're not going to compete with that. You flash forward, when I walked in 2017, 18, the guys in those arenas, they were just as colorful as the people on TV. The hall might have been a little smaller than what you see on Raw, but everything else was on par. The wrestling was the same. Just like I said, the money's missing. And I think that's where the indie scene is right now. It's like a lot of these promotions are right up there on top. It's just they don't got the millions of dollars to put behind it.
Yeah, imagine wrestling open with a big budget.
You know, different things. You'd see pyrotechnics. You'd see all that stuff. And then when you take that all away, though, what you got is wrestling, and wrestling is wrestling. That's what you see on the indie scene, wrestling. You don't see hours worth of vignettes and talks. You see people give great matches every time and give their body up, give their mind up, everything. They give it all. But yeah, you were saying, you're from that Philly, New York area. That's where you started wrestling down there.
And yeah, Brooklyn.
Now, before the injury and all that, did you stay down there? Or did you come up to Mass at all?
No, I started really hitting mass like 2017, 2018. Started mostly with Test of Strength, Shop number 2, all the promotions that happened out of there.
Yep.
So a lot of that, a lot of the Rhode Island, Connecticut, Massachusetts stuff. And then on the Jersey side, I started doing the Jersey stuff probably when I came back too. That's when I really started spreading my wings. Like my first 2 years were very local. Brooklyn shows, Queens, Long Island, everything very much within New York.
It's a good mix, though. You get a good mix of like a bunch of different wrestlers from from the Jersey side, then you get all the Mass people, Maine people, Rhode Island people. It's a nice mix, nice blend.
Yeah, it's like 3 different groups all across about like 500 miles, and it's just so many different groups of people.
But and that's what's cool about a lot of promotions. You'll see a lot of them bring them in for collabs, and you'll see them all work on one show or a couple shows, and it's like, this is great. Because it's not always, it's nice to see the local guys come in and do their stories, but sometimes you like to see some people that are a little further out or a little further here or just a little bit something different. Because eventually it gets monotonous.
Yeah, I like to mix it up. That's one big thing with All Black Everything. I wanted to make sure that wasn't just the Long Island crew or the New York crew. I wanted to make sure we had some Mass, some CT. We have a little sprinkle of New Hampshire in there. Guys who are better known in New Jersey and Philly. Really wanted to mix it up so that multiple people could appreciate and enjoy it.
And that's what we're going to talk about right now. We're going to talk about your show, All Black Everything. That's going to take place Saturday, February 1st, 106 Lake Ave in the Concert, New York. Doors at 2:30. Bella had 3 nights, an early day show. Can't beat that, because then you can you don't have to deal with the traffic.
Yep, you
well, coming from my area, you gotta figure. I got a 6-hour ride.
Yeah, it's a trip. It's gonna be a trip for you.
It might be 7 or 8. Sometimes I've been stuck in Brooklyn going to shows for like 2-3 hours trying to get through Brooklyn.
Oh gosh.
It just keeps adding on time to my ETA. I'm just like, okay. But it is a hike for me anyways to go through. Always, even Jersey too, though, because they got a lot of tolls, you got a lot of traffic. But New York's cool. At least it stays open all night. Doesn't close down like other states. Other states close down. Like, I dread going to Maine shows to the end of the night. There's nothing open. There's no food. There's nothing. If you don't get gas at the right moment, you're not even going to get gas.
You can't even get home. You're just stuck in Maine.
Stuck in Maine. I got to make phone calls and hope there's no bears. At least in New York, it's busy. You can get out. You can walk around if you have to. It always freaks out though. Whoever I'm driving, the double bridge, not the double bridge, but the double. When you go into the tunnel, the double tunnel up and out under.
Yep.
People aren't used to that around here. And I always like to go to the one with the trucks. I figure it'd be better. So I go up there with the truck. People are shaking in the car. I'm like, don't worry, we're fine. They can see us.
It's like, it's fine. Just drive straight.
Exactly. Just go straight. Just go home.
Like
I said, I've been to a few shows out there. I went to that XPW return show, which was interesting. It was interesting because they you have a death scene wrestling show, and they bring it to New York, which, as you know, the New York got the commission.
Commission's rough.
And you bring Schlack in there, right? Now Schlack's gonna bleed instantly. And the first move the guy throws a chair at Schlack bleeds. Commissioner comes right in and stops the show. Match, not the show, but the match over. And I'm just like, didn't y'all know that was gonna happen? Like, people know about this.
If you want to bleed, go right over to New Jersey. Everything's legal in New Jersey.
Well, yeah, I mean, like, even if you follow the GCW company, their shows in New York aren't the same as their Jersey shows.
It's a different type of wrestling because it has to be with the commission. It's what it is.
But now you're running in New York. How do you work around that? Or do you find it not to be your wrestling doesn't really get affected?
I mean, for for Remarkable Wrestling as a brand, and for the way I, Brother Greatness, typically am, and the individuals that have been announced for the show, none of these guys are necessarily known for hardcore matches or bleeding or anything crazy like that. So, I mean, if someone's looking for that gory appetite, this show isn't the one for them, and it's New York's not the place for it. We're working with respect to the commission, and people are still going to be able to have really competitive, violent matches. There's just not going to be anyone stabbing anybody with a staple gun. But we're still going to have good quality wrestling.
Yeah, I mean, wrestling's wrestling. You don't need all. Sometimes you don't need all that. Sometimes less is more. And there is places for it too. And some, like I said, there's promotions all just dedicated to that, and that's
All
fine
about
too.
your taste.
I've seen some wild matches. I've seen some wild shows. But sometimes, like I said, it depends on the flavor. Some like movies too. Sometimes you want to watch a horror or like a slasher film. Other times you want to watch like a psychological film, something a little bit more deeper. Same thing with wrestling. Sometimes you want to watch some just brutal match, and then other times you want to watch like a chess match. Who's gonna win this? Who's gonna be the better wrestler? Who's gonna outbest who?
We want to see a little Malenko now and again.
Exactly, and I've started to see the people that you brought in, and you have that kind of a roster where like a lot of these guys are chess players. They're good at what they do. They're game masters.
Yeah, brought in some of the best that I had access to be very honest with you. You look up and down the group. I mean, I know the whole card isn't out yet, but you look up and down the group of wrestlers who are actively in this show. It's crazy. I mean, Kylon King versus Joseph Alexander alone. That match alone is worth the trip, worth the drive, because they've been arguing on social media at this point for like 2.5 years. They have a current issue at BST. There's a whole kit and caboodle, and it's going to be something really cool for the Long Island fans to be able to see, and everyone later on IWTV. It won't be live on IWTV, but it will eventually drop on IWTV.
Awesome. And like I said, some of these people, that you mentioned or you name dropped, some of them holding gold, some of them have had some very prestigious matches lately, some of them have just done wonderful things in wrestling. But let me ask you, what made you want to do this show? What made you want to do this?
So funny enough, there were 2 shows that happened a few years ago, both of them Black Girl Magic. The first one I had a little bit to do with. The second one I was very involved in the process of finding talent, working out details, just the you know how it is, the whole 9 yards of assisting and making sure that the show was successful. And it went very well. A lot of people wanted a third one, but it didn't work out with the person who was actually the promoter. So it's come up over and over again if it's something that I would want to do. And as someone who is in Suffolk County, New York, a lot now, I've heard a lot of fans say, like, either in my area code or directly to me, that they wish that they saw a little bit more representation of like African Americans in wrestling in that area. And I'm just like, okay, I don't know. I don't know if I want to do that. But it's something that kept coming up, and Kono Capuccia, to his credit, the guy who runs Remarkable, the wrestling school, he just walked up to me one day and said, "Hey, do you want to run something here one day?" I'm like, "No, I don't. That's a lot of effort and work." He goes, "Are you sure?" He gave me all these like concepts, like, what if you did this? What if you did this way? And I said, if I was going to do something, it would be something that's very much focused on culture. And he goes, "Perfect. We have a spot open for February. You want to run a show in February?" I said, "You know what? Let's do it." And we talked numbers. We figured out some details, and I told one wrestler about it. One wrestler told three wrestlers told 6. And I said, you know what? It has the support. People want.
Yeah, no. And I mean, what better of a month of college to do something, with, African American History Month.
Perfect time to do it. So I'm excited.
It is. And I don't know I don't see it here where I go. I don't really see, rosters being really one side. I do see diverse rosters, but I guess I can see that they are. But I could see it, being an issue in the past. Obviously, as most things was an issue in the past of being diverse. In some places, probably still the same. And some promoters, let's face it, there's still racism in the world. So there's probably still racist promoters in the world.
Yeah, definitely.
Maybe not up here. Maybe some up here down south, probably a whole different game. Um, and maybe not, but it's good to see that it does get represented and shown and showcased because I think that is important.
Yeah, you need to have it. It shouldn't be everything. It shouldn't be to the point of a separation. But I think little moments like this to just kind of celebrate and be together, and I think it's important for multiple groups of people, right? Like you have your all women shows, you have stuff like All
Yeah,
Black Everything.
it's not like you're having like your own roster, your own. We're having our own black title, and it's going to be only black people only, and this is part of the roster now. But they're not going to wrestle any of the white folks. It's like, well,
Yeah.
no, it's not going to work like that.
Yeah, and there's nothing wrong with even having that in spurts, but kind of what we said before, there has to be a flavor of everything, and I think this is a flavor that, at least for this specific area, is one that a lot of fans legitimately
Yeah,
want.
no, I'm trying to think. Like, I think years ago, maybe it was 21. I thought I saw something similar or something, and I got all hyped behind it because, again, like you don't see it all the time.
Yeah.
But we do have excellent African American wrestlers. I mean, I just mentioned one earlier, Darius Carter. I think he's on the top of one of the lists
Oh, absolutely.
of what he's done. People like Trisha Dora does amazing work out there. And there's many others, many, many, many. I could go on and on. I mean, I don't they still do like the 100, I think, every year.
So there's a few things like you'll get Black Wrestling Matters, you'll get GCWs for the Culture, and then the one that I've personally like on a fan level have been thoroughly enjoying, Ashe Wrestling in North Carolina. And
No, but don't they do like a list, like the top 100?
Oh, the list, yeah, they do the BW 250.
Yeah, oh, 250. Okay,
yeah.
yeah.
I don't even know what number I was this year. I've had the honor of being on it the last few years, which is cool.
Who puts that out? Is that PWI? No.
I know there's a PWI guy who's involved in it. I want to say, oh man, he's gonna watch this and go, "Oh, you don't remember? All right, we're gonna get you off this list."
You're not making the list. You're 251 next year.
Yeah, right. I can't get on the list anymore. But I know if you type in the hashtag BW, I know if you put BW 250 or BW 500 in a hashtag and press it, Righteous Reg. There we go.
Okay. That name rings a bell. Now I understand. Okay, now it makes sense. Yeah.
All right.
I've seen that name in foolish. And,
I had to keep it safe there. I had to stay on the list there, man.
Now, let me ask you something. So now you got this show in the works. You talk to this guy. You run in February. We're going to all black everything. How do you even start to pick who you want? Like, how do you even go about that? Like,
so I'll be honest. I started with people who were formerly my students that are doing a fantastic job, and I'm very proud of. So I started with the big three, at least the big three for me. Stan Michael, the true king of R&B, A-Game Joseph Alexander, who I assisted greatly in the beginning of his career, and of course, Angelo Carter. So it started with those three, and I thought about what would be best for them. So Joe Alexander was an easy win because everyone wants to see him versus Kylon. We've all wanted it for years. With Stan Michael, there were a few choices there, and I'm looking forward to announcing that later in the week. But I knew there were only about two options that were almost independent wrestling dream matches that I knew I wanted to see. I knew others would enjoy. And then finally for Angelo Carter, before I even got to think about it, I realized all the problems that he's going through at BST. So I assumed the best thing to do was to allow that conflict to continue at All Black Everything for the BST fans to get to enjoy that.
Well, what's going on over there at BST with them?
Oh man, the Haven and Kylon King have been having some serious issues with Joe Alexander and the entire Diaspora team, and the BST Tag Team Championships are right in the center of all of it. And
he seems to have clash. He just recently I saw him clash with Jay George too. He like turned his back on poor Jay George. Broke his heart.
Poor Jay George. Jay George is hurt emotionally and physically, and
he's another great wrestler. He's another one you want to talk about that does great things out there. He's another one.
He's so wildly entertaining. He's one of those guys that when I watch and I say, oh, I better I better at the minimum step up the entertainment value. You have
I'll
to.
be honest with you, he's one of my favorite people to interview because he's the only one that can keep up with me joint to joint.
Fair enough. I assure you, I won't put any points on that board. But
Well, I didn't think you would, figuring I know that you a lot of what you do talk about, you really do live. But with the J Joy, sometimes I've come on, he's been higher than me, and we will have great conversations talking indie wrestling. But some of it might just be a little out there. But it's always good stuff. But that makes sense. You take who you taught, you take in who you've seen, who you've seen grow. And that's something also that's really interesting in the indie scene that you can see it on TV, but not as much is the arc of growth. If you take Angelo Carter when he first walked through the doors to where he is now, you can see it. You can see an arc.
Oh yeah.
And you can see that with almost any indie star that makes it anywhere. It gets better. It gets to the next level, even if it's small levels. Because indie wrestling has tiers. You get out of one tier, get to the next tier of promotions. You get on, and you can see that arc just grow. And it's a great thing to kind of follow.
No, it's a beautiful thing, and I've really enjoyed sitting back and watching. I haven't really had as much of a hand in either Angelo or Joe's wrestling life after their first 8-12 months. That's really when I was really around them a lot, and I've just had the opportunity to watch them from afar and see how people have reacted to them throughout the scene. And wow, it's just amazing how much they've both accomplished in the last, how long has it been? 4 years? Not even.
Yeah, that's the other thing I think. The turnaround time for wrestlers to take off isn't like 10 years anymore. It's like 2 or 3, 4.
Oh yeah.
People start getting going. Some people come in and out. They're in, a couple of years later, get signed and off.
Yeah, they're gone 3 years in and have a contract, and you're like, wow. And there's other folks who've been doing it for 25, and
they're like, hey, what's going on? But they're local heroes. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
There's nothing wrong.
Some people don't want to do the traveling. Some people don't want to do all that. Some people don't come into it later in age, and they know they ain't going to keep up with the young kids.
Yeah, we got a lot.
But there is people that do come in, hustle and bustle, and have tried for over 20 years, and then you got people like you said, 3 years in and out.
Yep.
And I mean, right now it's a little bit easier, I think, between social media, getting your name out there, having all these accounts, getting eyes and ears on, doing podcasts, doing shows, and this thing's going viral on social media. You get your name out there a little bit more. You do something cool and everybody films it. People know you.
Yeah, it's gonna spread around every single time.
But yeah, I mean, like I said, I'm really excited again for this show. First time coming to this promotion as well for myself, but I like to travel a little bit. I like to get out of the New England area, like the close, like where I live right in Mass, and get, a little bit out of it because, like I said, sometimes it comes a little bit monotonous. You see the different stuff, but it still starts to look the same.
Yeah, you got
People start winning the same. You start seeing the same, and things start becoming predictable.
Mm-hmm.
So I like to sometimes take a break and, get out and venture out.
And see
when I first saw
other
something about it, I got to venture out to this. This one looks interesting.
Yeah, no, and I'm hoping a lot of people see this production and say, "Hey, I'm gonna go out for that one." I'm like, "Yes, please." I hope it's different enough.
As long as it doesn't snow and the weather's good. If it gets too cold, people will be like, "Nah."
Yeah, some people have a rough time. Luckily, small venues, so I'm not looking to pack the place out with 1,000 people. We have literally, I want to say, when I last spoke to Kono, I think we have about 75 total seats. And the front row's pretty much wrapped up. There's only 4 tickets left for the front row. Handful of general admission are already gone, but I've been trying to warn everybody, not in the promoter way, like we've sold so many tickets and you're gonna lose out. No, it's just that the space is legitimately small. And a lot of people have privately reached out to me and said, "Hey, I'm coming to the show." And I'm just saying, please just buy your ticket now, because I don't want 100 people lined up with 6 tickets sold ahead of time. Or, well, it's more than 6 now, but whatever it is now, with a handful of tickets, because it's the full front rows in the GA, but whatever, what are 20 tickets sold ahead of time, only having 50 left, and there's 100 people at the door. And if I knew all these people were coming, maybe I could have last minute moved it to a very close by larger venue if I knew the interest was, because there's a venue that's way bigger around the corner. It just costs a lot of money.
But yeah, if you don't see that up front, if 100 people buy the tickets up front, well, then you know that it can go there. You don't
Yeah,
know if you don't know until day of, and day of it's too late. If you got 100, it's only 75, 25 people going home,
yeah, and I don't
and
want to do that to
hopefully
people.
it's not me taking the 8-hour trip back empty-handed.
That's my big concern, that people are going to take the drive, say, "Hey, they're selling tickets at the door," and I'm just trying to tell everyone, no, please. I'm not saying we're selling tickets by the thousands. We're not. I'm just trying to say, like, if you want to come because the venue is small, please get your ticket now. It is the smartest thing to do if you plan on, especially if you're coming from New England and you're jumping on the ferry. It's $70 to get the car on and the whole kit and caboodle to come down and have me outside telling you, hey, you got there at 3 o'clock on the dot. I'm in the back. The lady in the front is telling you, hey, we're at capacity and the firehouse is across the street and the commissioner's here. So
Hey, see, that's why if I'm gonna do that, I'll be there at like 10 a.m. being like, okay, tickets on sale yet?
that's different. As a spot, VSW podcast has graciously sponsored one of the talents. You get a ticket, so you're good
Yeah,
to
no,
go.
and I mean, I'm just saying, but I've been in situations like that where things have been out of state, and I'll stress that. Like one time we went to a Limitless show, and I know it was gonna sell out. I told my friend it was gonna sell out. I had gotten my ticket. He wasn't gonna come until the last minute. He decides to come. I told him it was gonna sell out. It sold out. Kid had to sit 4 hours in the car. I wasn't turning around for money to go home. And I wanted to see the matches. So I'm like, sorry, you got to sit in the car. Like, I'll be out when I'm out. Like, sorry, I warned you.
There's nothing you can do. Buy the tickets ahead of just buy them ahead of time. That
If
happened.
they're sold ahead of time, that's for a reason. That means that, you can at least be secure in what you do. Now, where can folks find this? Is it on Eventbrite? How do they buy them?
So easiest thing ever, remarkablewrestling.com. As soon as you go on the website, it's not one of those things where we say that and then there's like a whole thing for like a school and you're bouncing around confused. As soon as you go on the website, the first thing you see is the poster for All Black Everything and the link right there to decide if you want to buy front row, general admission, excuse me, or if you want to buy a package, because the next day Remarkable is running a show the very next day. So if you're going to both shows and you want to save some money, you can buy general admission or front row while supplies last and get a discount on both shows.
On both shows,
And no
yeah.
matter what show you buy, because February 1st is the day of the Rumble, no matter what show you buy, we're doing a free, totally free, as long as you purchase a ticket to either show, a free Royal Rumble watch party right outside of the school. So we're gonna have a big projector, one or two additional TVs.
So you might as well, someone like me, I might as well just book a hotel, spend the night, do the watch party, enjoy it, go to wrestle the next day, have a good day, make a weekend out of it, kind of thing.
You can really go all out with it and have just an awesome weekend, top to bottom.
But that's nice because then you can kind of chill with some of the fans. I'm sure some of the wrestlers are gonna pop in there. People are gonna pop in there. You're gonna have that kind of feel, where everyone's just kind of chill and laid back. The show's already happening. People getting ready for the next show the next day.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That is awesome. I have to say, because it's not, growing up, we used to do a lot of watch parties. The pay-per-views. They were $50, so you needed about 5 or 6 of us to kick in.
Yeah.
But also, it was fun just to have your friends over or beg your mom, hey, can I have my, all these kids over? We're gonna watch wrestling tonight. Okay. You get some pizza, get some soda, do whatever. And as you get all that kind of went away, but I'm starting to see that come back. People starting to watch together again. I love that.
And I think it's important to have that camaraderie, and so it's a lot of fun, man. It really is. And if someone doesn't want to do that, the show is going to end promptly at 5 p.m. So you have an hour to book it. For the people who live on the island, live in New York City, Queens, Brooklyn, they can make it back home in time to watch the Rumble home if they want to.
Yeah, I mean. Not for nothing. You got Netflix on the phone now too, or whatever it's being called. Peacock. You can just throw it on the phone, put it on the ride,
and just head on out, and you'll be fine. You'll still get to enjoy the Rumble, and that's part of the reason we did it as an early show. And if this goes well, and a lot of people like the watch party at Remarkable, we're highly considering doing small shows the days of pay-per-views so that people could come, watch a live show, 90 minutes to 2 hours long tops, and then immediately get to watch the pay-per-view.
The
We're not
watch
selling
party.
food. Yeah, we're not selling food or anything. So you can buy food from Taco Bell, bring your own food. We have a microwave in the school, and bring whatever you want and sit down and eat it. It's not a movie theater. We're not going to tell you, hey, you can't bring Waffle House in here. You have to purchase out.
Yeah, so people can just do whatever, have, Uber or anything, deliver your food and just enjoy the night.
And just enjoy the night.
Well, and that sounds fun. That sounds awesome. Something different. Like I say, you don't see that all the time, and it's a good way to get like the fans connecting with wrestlers, connecting with students, connecting with everybody. And you never know what will happen. During those watch parties, you might get something. Oh, no, maybe I want to be a pro wrestler. And you got your next student in there. Anything can happen. People just get inspired, and plus, it's nice just to watch. Sometimes it's nice to watch wrestling like with wrestlers. It's interesting because they watch it in a totally different way than a fan, and they're looking at it in a totally different way than the fan. But sometimes they'll tell you things, and it's like, oh, okay, oh wow, I didn't know about that. I didn't see it in that light.
Yeah, sometimes you have fans freaking out, and you'll just have like the little row of 3 wrestlers in the back, just like this. And you're thinking they're mad about something. They're just studying the way the person
studying it. They're like, okay, how can I incorporate this? How can I use some of this?
Like, how do you do that right there?
Yeah. No, and people would be like, oh, they're bored. They don't like this. So it's like, no, they're really just concentrating.
Yeah, they're studying.
And that's the thing, people don't think it happens, but tape is very important in wrestling. People watch tape. People watch old matches, new matches, their own matches, their opponents' matches. People study that stuff because it does make you a better wrestler.
I don't understand the people who don't. I know there's a lot of wrestlers who say they don't watch back their own matches. I think I've watched every match I have on tape at least 3 times a piece just to see, okay, I could have done this better. I could have moved better like this. And then I'll watch tape that connects. So I use so much of the philosophies from AJ Lee's in-ring work, Brad Armstrong, Chavo Guerrero. Like, I'll take stuff from them all day, all night. I don't know how you do.
No, and I think that makes you a better wrestler in a lot of ways. What you do out there isn't. It's not. You're a good quality wrestler. And speaking of that, you're going to be on this card yourself, aren't you?
Oh yes, I will. My match is yet to be announced, but I will be on this card. I will be competing. Wrestled with that. No pun intended. Wrestled with that for a while about how am I going to run the show and also actively compete. But once that official match announcement is made, and we will be making it soon, once that announcement is made, I think everyone's going to kind of understand why I felt the need to have that contest and how it's going to work within the realm of running the show and then having to compete directly after on a high level. So that's why.
And it's not easy to do, just doing what you have to do to run the show, and then plus you have to be in the mental state to do your own match. But it's also just a moral dilemma. Well, who do you wrestle? Why do you wrestle them? Do you take the biggest name? Well, that's not fair. You're running the show. Yeah. You get those questions asked, and you think about them yourself.
Yep.
Because it's a puzzle that makes a show. It's not just let's just throw your name in the hat. It's like it's got to look right. This is going to look right. It's got to make sense to the 5th match in there, and that 3rd one got to be okay. And
it's got to flow.
There's a lot that goes into it. Yeah, because you need to keep the emotional ride running, and you need people to build up their excitement for the end. Otherwise, no one's going to stay. They'll walk out. People have short attention spans nowadays. And if you don't grab them, just get bored. They'll be on their phone or they'll go walk home.
Yeah, Bill.
I've seen people leave shows like 20 minutes into it, not even because it's a bad show. Maybe the wrestling wasn't for them, but they were sitting front row. They spent $30-something. They just got up and left. So it's not a money thing. If the people are bored, they'll leave.
They'll walk right out. Definitely would.
Because face it, $30 say isn't even that much. It's like whatever. You could do that on a scratch ticket and lose and be like, shit, I lost. Well, you can watch 20 minutes of wrestling. Well, you can watch the whole show.
Inflation killed
Um,
$30 fast, man. It's crazy. Like even this show, I said I'm gonna keep this $25. Most people could get $25, and they'll be okay, you know.
well, you're bringing the local people in. That's fine.
Yeah. Gotta get the locals in.
If
1,000
you
until.
get people from California, they ain't coming in for 25. Maybe I don't know, but most likely not.
well, $25 for the tickets. I mean, you know.
I thought you meant that's what you were paying the wrestler. I'm like, dude,
Oh
they
no!
get paid.
No. No, for the wrestlers, and luckily, with the exception of two wrestlers, I have to announce one of the wrestlers got sponsored today, like a couple hours ago. But with the exception of two wrestlers, every single wrestler has been sponsored in total or in part, and every red cent of the sponsorship money is going directly to the wrestler that was stated. Every red cent. If
So
they're
the quote you gave the sponsor you gave to me is directly what the wrestler gets
exactly what the
paid.
wrestler's getting.
And there's nothing getting shaved off the top of Brother Greatness's pocket on that.
Nothing's getting shaved off of it.
But then at the end of the day, you get sponsored yourself, which then you got paid.
Yeah, exactly. Because I got sponsored. So I'm like, okay, great. I'm taken care of as a wrestler. And pretty much what I'm gonna do, and I haven't really told too many of the wrestlers this, so they might find out here. But what I'm gonna do is, for the show, obviously we still need to sell tickets in order to break even. If we lose money, me and the owner of the building, we're gonna split the loss. If we make money, me and the owner of the building, we're gonna split the profit. Whatever profit I get from that, if it's substantial enough to split it up amongst the guys, I'm just gonna split it up amongst the guys and the girls, and just be like, "Here's a little extra for you. Thank you for doing this." If it's not a substantial amount, then I'll use it towards another event that will, like, if it's $20 of profit, I can't split $20 between everybody gets an extra $1. I'd be better.
Yeah, no, that's a slap in the face. You don't want to do that. But
I'm better off buying a couple cases of water and some chips and some protein stuff, and like just getting something for the guys, or just doing something for the people, or doing something for the fans, or just
you want to give it back into, the
give it a skill out of
organization, back into the school, or back into it.
Exactly.
And that's noble. That's noble. So I was going to ask, is there any charity attached to it? Is it going to any kind of, is the profits going to any kind of charity? But no, I like that, because, I mean, let's face it, sometimes it's not even, you got the events, you got the shows, the rest, everybody taking care of, but you got to think, who's taking care of it? Who's running? Who's working with the school? Or who's working with what's happening behind the scenes? Who's paying for that? Sponsors don't sponsor the school. They sponsor the shows or the wrestlers. The school is what keeps these people in fit and shape to wrestle, though, and keeps the whole group train rolling. Because without new students, you ain't getting more shows. You're bringing in old folks.
Yep.
So you need to get new guys. Things like what you're doing is really helpful, I feel. Because, like you said, if it makes substantial, then it goes to school. If it's a loss, it's a loss. But at least the guys are paid up, or, the people that have been sponsored are paid up. You don't have to worry about that. You don't have to worry about people going at the end of the day, well, shit, Brother Greatest ain't paying.
Exactly.
You don't want that happening. But no, wrestling isn't easy. People think it's as easy to have a show. We're going to have a show tomorrow. There's a lot more involved than people think.
Well, it goes into
Whether you're a promoter, whether you're a booker, whether you're helping a booker, whether you're helping whether you're doing whatever you're doing in it, you can just even getting a glimpse of it. It's a lot of work. There's nothing easy about it.
It's rough, and I got it on the easiest possible mode because it's happening out of the wrestling school that I'm currently working at. So I got lucky with a venue that was reasonable in a very difficult state to run a show in. With a man who's really willing to help out. So it made it a little easier than it would have been. Well, more than a little easier than if I had to go out and, go to the local, the local gymnasium and figure it out.
Yeah, no, definitely. And having a little bit easy access to some of the talent instead of having to email and message everybody is helpful. And honestly working with a lot of talent between, Wrestling Open and other stuff in your ventures. You must have a good Rolodex of numbers or emails that have been like, hey, I like this guy. I've seen this guy. I commentated for him. He's good. Me and him talk. You start to know people, and people start to know you, and you can hit them up. Be like, hey, when you want to work a show for me? They're like, yeah, sure.
And I could probably throw together 100 shows. No exaggeration. I could probably throw together about 100 unique shows just based off the people that I've made actual strong connections with. Everyone on this show, I'm trying to think if there's a single person with the exception of Brianna Bands that I have not wrestled live or helped train or trained with. I think every single person on this show I've wrestled against, wrestled with, or trained with at some point, with the exception of Bands. Everybody else I've been with.
That's awesome, though. That's pretty cool. Because you really kind of did put this show together. Like, it's from your mind, but it's like it's also from your career. Like, you're bringing people from your past into it.
Yeah, it's a big my heart's into this one. So I know
that's what I was gonna say. Like, if this now we're talking success, if this is wildly successful and the place is packed and people are screaming and they want more, would you continue? Is it something you would continue doing or continue working towards?
It depends how big the response is. Because if we sell out, we're still talking we're talking 75 people. But if we sell out a week before the show and people are reaching out, hey, I want to get in there, and I realize that we missed out on having a show with like 300 people and everyone's begging for more, then why not give them more? The question is just going to be, well, on what scale do we do the exact same thing again? Because 75 people want it and 75 people are going to come back? Or do we say, hey, we're going to go bigger? Is it going to be all black everything again? Is it a woman's show? Is it a standard show?
Do you wait a year? Like, how do you work that? Or do you just do another, do you run like a normal promotion and just mix it all up together?
Yeah. Or is it, do I do only theme shows where it's like all Italian everything, all lucha everything, all horse wrestling, where it's only people over 300? Like, is everything a theme now? Like,
that would be kind of unique, though. There's nobody out there. Like, even if you did like all Italian, but you get like Luigi Prima over there, you get like a bunch of the characters over there. Yeah. What's his name? Mike Verna.
I love Mike Verna.
Right? You get a little Mike Verna in there. It'd be good. It would be good. It's interesting what you can do with wrestling, because the thing, and I always say, the most creative people in the world are pro wrestlers, because they got the mind to just think outside that ring. They got the mind to just go wherever and make some of the most greatest things either work that you would think never work, or just come up with these great ideas. Like, like I said, like you could do all of there's so many different kinds of wrestlers. Let's just say you just did just clowns and you had an all clown show. You could go across the country and you could find every wrestler that got a clown gimmick. You could book that person and you would have an only clown show that nobody else has ever probably done in the world.
Yeah, book 15 clowns and one mime, and all of a sudden you have a show.
And have the mime cut the promo. That's there you go.
We have a lot of but it really depends, and I think it really starts with what I said in the beginning. What are people asking for? And enough people asked to have this cultural expression in Suffolk, and it's something that spoke to my heart. So I think if both can happen at the same time, where there's a desire, maybe everyone just wants all black everything 2 times a year, and I'd be more than happy to be the guy to be behind it if the support is there. And this go round with 12 sponsors, possibly more coming. A lot of people already reaching out. Front row almost sold out. I think the support's there.
Yeah, definitely the support's there. I mean, support's there on like 3 fronts. I think the support's there for the cause, being Black History Month and being, I think that's a really strong thing that people believe in. Whether you black, you white, or whatever you are, if you believe in it, it's something you do believe in. Like, my wife, she's black, and my son's half black, half white. But last year he was in kindergarten, and during Black History Month, I have to say I was very impressed. Every single day he came home and told me about somebody notable, whether it be an astronaut or a physicist or somebody that was African American that broke ground in the world. And like it prompted me to buy him, like he wanted me to buy him books on. He's only in kindergarten. He had me buying these books. It has like 50 inspirational black men, 50 inspirational black women. It just has like all these historians in it, and just just different people that you went there. Like, yeah, we know about Martin Luther King and stuff, but like, when you hear about like this, the first African astronaut, the female astronaut to go up into the moon and go here or go there or go into space, it's like it really got to him. So it got to me and my wife. I'm like, this is awesome to see that, and just integrating culture. Because back in the day, it wasn't in school, it wasn't taught, it really wasn't.
Yeah, no.
Just the major names, like I said, we would learn about Martin Luther King and what it meant, to not be segregated and how racism was wrong, but we wouldn't get to know the individuals, all the little people, that do even mundane things, but are, like I said, astronauts, there's a lot of astronauts, right? But for that person, they were the first one of their role and gender and race to break grounds. That's important.
Yeah, and perfectly said. I couldn't have said it better myself. Like, because it just really changed everything. By the way, on a personal note, when he gets older, definitely when I was a kid, my school was very Caribbean. It was like all Caribbeans in the school. You walk into Epiphany Lutheran, you would have thought you walked into the bowels of Barbados. Like, you're like, what is going on? And why does everything smell like curry? But they had us when I was in 4th, 5th, and 6th grade read all these Mildred D. Taylor books. So when they get older, if the interest is there, Mildred D. Taylor, some of those books really had a big effect on how I view the culture and me understanding the plight of my people, honestly. So I mean, it's definitely something I don't know if, hopefully I don't overstep, but just
no, definitely. I mean, we're always looking for things or different like things. I said my wife and me we're always looking for things. So we'll definitely have him check it out when he's a little bit older.
Yeah.
Able to read at that level. I'm guessing it's a higher end reading level than what he's reading now.
Yeah, but like fifth grade's probably a W.
Yeah, he's in first now. He's in first now. He's reading, but he is reading, which is good to see. I don't think I was reading too much, so it's good to see that he enjoys reading. And just learning in general. Not even so much reading, but like learning about people, learning about history. Like, to me, that's important, because if you don't know your history, you don't know your past. You don't even know your future, man. Like, you don't know anything. Yeah. And that goes for anything. It could be race, religion, wrestling, whatever it is. You at least know what happened in history. Yeah. And then decide from then on, how you want to go. But at least know, because history, back in school, because of the way things was, like a lot. Now it's different, but back then it was books. It was straight books. We didn't have internet. We didn't have computers. We didn't have all this, AI. We can't ask questions. I can't ask Sarah. I can't ask anything. If I needed to figure something out, I had to go pull out an encyclopedia, go to the library, rent books, take books. I mean, it wasn't until early 2000s I could even hit the internet at a successful speed to be able to search stuff. And at that point, schools weren't even still caring. They wanted to see books with sources.
Yeah.
Today it's totally different, though. He has questions. We're just Googling away. He's pulling up information. So it's a lot more obtainable. They learn it a lot faster. And it's like, but they get addicted to the information. They want more.
And that's
it's cool to see, though, because, learning is learning. I mean, and even as a wrestler, you're always learning. You're never gonna know all of wrestling. You're never gonna master wrestling. You're never gonna master being a pro wrestler. You always got to go to school and learn something new. Every couple of years, wrestling changed a little bit. Styles change. The way people do things change.
If I always say wrestling's, how they always say people practice medicine. It's the same thing as you practice it. You never master it.
No. I think it'd be boring if you did. I mean, what would you do if you did? There'd be no come up. Part of it is the come up, trying to get there. You see all these people struggling to be champion, they're doing great, but once they got the title, they fall flat.
Everyone's just like, we've seen enough. No, it's wrestling has to change and grow for it to be wrestling.
Well, let me ask them. You got any news from me? Anything I can share with the people watching? Anything about the show coming up? Any hint, sneak peek?
We have something big. So, as you obviously know, the VSW podcast is sponsoring a personal favorite of mine, a big member of Prolific, the linebacker of praise in the Church of Greatness. We're talking about the big boy from Brooklyn, the wig splitter, never quitter, Tyree Taylor. And he is going one-on-one against a man who's been begging to face him for years. So I've decided to give him the opportunity. It's going to be Tyree Taylor versus Shotgun Adams.
Look at that. Shotgun Adams, Tyree Taylor. It's going to be amazing. I have to say, I'm excited for it. I'm a big fan of Tyree. You know, I just saw him come off a very nice title run at Focus Pro. You know, he did lose to Manny Arias, but in all fairness, it was his double match of the night. He had already beaten Desmond Cole. So it's like he already did his work for the night, but you know how like money in the banks and briefcases work sometimes. You're a little tired, but I have to say he's someone that I started seeing. I think I watched him on the road. I think I first saw him actually brought out to Limitless, and he was just someone that was like, "Yo, nobody's doing what he's doing out there. Got to keep an eye on Tyree. Like he's somebody else." And I always loved the like he didn't care what the fans think. He's like, "I don't need your approval. I don't need your support. I don't need nothing from anybody." He just go out there, wrestle, and do his thing.
Yep, and that's how he's always been. I've known Tyree since 2013. And he's always been so gifted and talented. And he grew so much before the pandemic. And I'm so happy people got to witness it on the road in the last 2 or 3 years with Wrestling Open, how good and talented and gifted Tyree Taylor is. But Shotgun has a problem with it. Shotgun and Tyree been like brothers for years too. And Shotgun hasn't enjoyed that same clout, that same opportunity. So let's see if the guy has the ability to stand up with one of the best wrestlers in the Northeast.
It's gonna be good. It's gonna be interesting. And like I said, I can't wait. I mean, we're what about? I don't even know how many days in January. What 31?
Yeah, 31 days in January. So
about 16 days to go or so. About that.
Crazy.
17. It's coming.
Wow.
It's since you first told me about it. It's coming. It's like steamrolling faster and faster.
Yeah, it's moving. It's moving. The show's only been announced. It's been announced less than 3 weeks, and it's just everything's been happening so fast. It's crazy.
But it's crazy in a good way. I have to say, we're very excited for it. Again, you can go. Where'd you say? Right to the website, right?
Yeah, you're gonna go right on remarkablewrestling.com. As soon as you go on the website, the first thing you're gonna see is all black everything. You can buy your tickets right there. There's no other place to purchase it. There's no, I don't want to buy it there. Let me buy it with Brother Great. Brother's going to send you to the website. That's where we're handling everything. That's how we're maintaining how many tickets are left.
We're not sending you no Venmo and you're putting your name at the door. It's nothing like that going.
Yeah, no, just do it right there. That's
this way we know who's who, right? It's easy.
Yeah, it's the easiest way to handle it. Make sure that we don't mess up the fire code and the entire show gets shut down. We got to make sure we're sticking to our P's and Q's.
Well, just don't, like I said, forget my shit. I don't want to drive 8 hours, have to watch from the window outside. I've been to no, I swear, I've been to a show one time and I looked like around the corner and I see 3 people outside watching a wrestling show because they couldn't get in.
I promise you, brother, if you tell me you're on the way, you don't got to worry about nothing. We're going to make sure that you have your own seat. You're going to be good to go no matter what. Promise.
But
not for everyone else, for you. For you and anyone you bring. Walk right on in, no problem.
Yeah, well, like I said, we got a little bit of it's a little bit of right. It's not just going down the street or even going like from Long Island. It's like we got to cross a couple states, couple tolls.
Yeah.
But you know, like I said, I'm excited for it. I'm excited for you. I'm excited to see where this goes, what it can lead, and just what it brings to wrestling. Because I think it's an important event to bring to pro wrestling. Like again, it's a very strong message done through the art of pro wrestling. You know, sometimes you get things done through music, movies, right? You might have an all-black album dedicated to Black History Month. You might have a movie or a documentary. Well, in this case, you're using the art of pro wrestling to bring this to light, and I love that. I'm there for it.
Thank you, brother, man. I appreciate the support. I appreciate you having me on the podcast tonight.
Yes, thank you very much for that as well. You know, it's only been doing just the new year, Christmas, been getting busy, but you know, just doing family stuff. But now I'm kind of back in the groove, and again, you know, you're somebody on my list. Like I said, I've been watching for a couple years now. In this area, just doing great things. But thank you for coming on. Where can folks find you on social if they don't already follow you?
So you can find me at Brother Greatness, at Brother Greatness, Amen. That's gonna be on Instagram, Facebook. You can just type in Brother Greatness. On X, it's Be Greatness. Amen. You could jump on Blue Sky. I'm on that as well as Be Greatness. And also on TikTok, type in Brother Greatness. I'm the first thing that's going to pop up. A lot of big things happening outside the show, of course, for my own wrestling career. But right now, this is the focus. But we have a couple big shows coming up, including January 24th, VPW, also on Long Island. January 24th. I'm sponsored by Terrace Temptations out in New York City, who do a lot of wonderful baked goods. And we'll be wrestling in a church in a big charity show.
Nice.
I'll be in the main event doing a 6-man tag.
Oh, that's fun. That sounds like fun. So you got that coming up the 24th, you said, of January, and then February 1st, you're going to be wrestling at All Black Everything. It's gonna be a busy couple of weeks for you.
Yep. I'm gonna be rolling. The very next day, I'm competing for Remarkable. So
you're right back. That's after watching the Rumble.
After watching the Rumble, so my opponent on the second's probably gonna have an easy time. I'm gonna be exhausted and beat up.
Maybe they're gonna be there that night watching the Rumble too. You keep them up with you.
But fair point. And I won't be enjoying any beverages of the alcoholic sort. So they might be hungover, and I might go over because of it. So we'll see what happens.
Whatever works to your advantage. It's wrestling. Any way you have to win.
gotta work with what you got.
Well, thank you again, Brother Greatness. It's been a pleasure. It really has.
Thank you, brother, man. God bless you. I appreciate you.
And that's right, folks. Go out right now. Get your tickets. Remarkable.com. You can go out there, Remarkable Wrestling. Get your tickets now. You're not going to want to miss this show. It is going to be something amazing, truly amazing. And we can't wait to see all the announcements. Make sure to check, obviously with their socials and VSW and my own, because we're going to be sharing a lot of the announcements that are coming in and people that are coming and matches that are being put together. So thank you, everybody, for watching tonight, this special episode of VSW Podcast. And as always, support indie wrestling. Versace Stoner out.